got a different show for you today. I am going to talk about politics, but only after I speak with my first guest. This is kind of new for us, to be honest with you, but it's something that I like and perhaps I'll do more of in the future. But I'm joined by my guest, and I'm honored to be joined by my guest, comedian Nazareth. We have a comedian on the program because let's face it, we need some laughter. The United States needs some laughter. The world needs some laughter. And I just think it's pretty cool. So, comedian Nazareth, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm not political, but I'm a Christian. I love this country, and I believe our solution is spiritual. And yeah, so I'm an immigrant who came here 40 some years ago and believe in this country, and I love being an American.
Man, I love that. And actually for this, we're actually not going to get political. We're going to let people have a little bit of fun. I want to learn about you a little bit because all right, so basically, and we should have had a clip up. If I had a better producer, a comedian Nazareth, they would have gotten a clip for me and just had it up so I could look really good in front of you. But
Yeah.
those aren't the type of people that I work with. So just keep that
Well,
in
Gabe
mind.
is, you still have Gabe. I mean, Gabe is not, I mean, come on. What's minimum wage nowadays?
All right, but no, it's my fault. I should have said, guys, make sure we have these cuts, and I didn't. But that's cool. I know you're going to be funny and fun anyway. But tell me this, okay? So one of the things and I was telling you this offline. And again, my guest comedian Nazareth, you can check out his website, nazarethusa.com. Also, Instagram. I was just scrolling through his Instagram page and checking out some of the reels there. So you can check out his Instagram page at Comedian Nazareth as well. But first off, comedy, it's different. You do this for a living, you do this as a career.
Yes.
How did you get into this first off?
Well, I've always wanted to make people laugh, and I don't know why. Well, I live in California, where gas prices are like $7 a gallon. Not
Yeah,
only
I
I
used to
shake the
be there.
nozzle, I lick it. I don't shake the nozzle anymore. But I moved. I was born in the Holy Land, the land of milk and honey, but I'm lactose intolerant. And at age 3, my family moved to Kuwait,
Wow.
and from Kuwait, I moved to the U.S. and to go to college legally. And then I was in Ohio. Then I moved to California, and I don't know why I was drinking, smoking, doing drugs. I didn't know Jesus personally at the time, so I started. I wanted to run a marathon. I don't know why, Carl, but I said I'm going to run a marathon.
No,
So
I
I
mean, no lead up. You just all of a sudden decided I'm
just
going to
all of
run
a
a.
sudden I thought, I can run a marathon. So
Okay.
I go to LA, I sign up for the marathon, then they tell you when to come back, and then I came back for the day running. The night before, Muhammad Ali was sitting at my table, and he grabbed my hand and he squeezed it. That was 1990. And he goes, "You gonna finish this?" I'm like, yeah, I will.
No
I
way.
promise him. so anyway, so I started
Wow.
running like other people do. I'm copying them. When I got to the like 2 miles out of the 26.2, my body became like a dysfunctional family. I'm serious, Carl. My lungs were like the grandpa, like, are we there yet? My heart became like a wife, like, hey, nobody's told me about this. I'm the only one pumping here. Let me see if I stop and see what happens to all of you. And then my legs became like my kids. Dad, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I don't know why I made it to the 22 miles, and
Wow.
a homeless lady got up and looked at. She goes, "Oh, honey, you can't quit now. You can see the finish line." And I mean, when you see the finish line, you get some extra energy. I didn't. I just walked to the finish line, dropped there, and I said, "I cannot believe I'm capable of doing something that big. What do I
Wow.
want to do in life that if I never get paid for it, Carl, I will still give it my best?" And I always loved to see people laugh. I wanted to see people laugh. Not I wanted to be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
funny. I don't care about that. I want to see people laugh. And in fact, 2 days ago, I was in Nampa, Idaho, doing a radio concert. It's like sold out. And I told the people, I said, hey, when you laugh, you energize me. And two people came to me, and I put it on my Instagram. If you notice it, one guy said, "I just lost my son, and I
Mhm.
don't think I could have laughed again. And tonight you made me laugh." Another lady jumps in on Facebook, and she goes, "Not only this guy, I lost my son and I lost my husband, and I couldn't
Man.
think I can laugh." So to me, that what charges me is making people laugh. So I went the next day to the LA Cabaret in LA. I signed up for open mic night at 7 p.m. At midnight, they put me on stage, nine drunks. I didn't have any jokes. I mean, I was just never done comedy. I just like people used to say, "Oh, you're from the Middle East. You live in a tent." I go, "Yeah, a two-story tent with a two-camel garage." And my brother would come take Ken and Barbie hostages. I send GI Joe to get him back. Stupid jokes, and people just fell off their chairs laughing. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to do in life.
Wow.
And so from that moment on, I signed up, the comedy store the next day. I started working with people like Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, Kevin James.
Are you
I started
serious?
doing Vegas. BB King had me open for him. Oh, that was the
Oh,
greatest
that's
thing.
amazing.
And just God opened the door for me, even though I didn't think it was him, until I got to do NBC. And NBC wanted to do a sitcom for me called Fish Out of Water, Middle Eastern Man in America. And that's when a friend of mine invited me to church.
Wow.
And I went to church, and knowing, he goes, "Would you go to church with me?" I'm like, "Why not? I'm from the Holy Land. We gave you Jesus." What did they tell you? Give you pizza? What
Let's
did
see
the
what you
parents
did
give you?
with them.
What did the Chinese give you? Walmart? We gave you Jesus. And so I went to church, but Carl, I had this fear because I knew there was this hole inside, and money and parties. I didn't go to Diddy's, be Diddy's, but everything, the money and the fame didn't do anything for me. So I knew there was something missing. And when I went
Mm.
to church, even though I knew God is holy and horribly bad, I knew there's I needed that. And when I walked at the church and the pastor said, "Come as you are, God will do the work," I went forward, gave my life to Christ, called my manager the next morning. I said I quit. And after 250 some F words, he goes, "Okay, I'm fine. You're released." And I didn't
Wow.
go to any management. I didn't go to any other network. I quit comedy. And a week later, my pastor comes to me. He goes, "Nazareth, God created the humor. Satan perverted it. Why can't you do comedy for the church?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Why not?" And that's when I felt God saying, "You know what? You need to do this clean. You do it for me, and you do that." And that was about 30 some years ago where I started doing it. And God sent me to prisons. And I love going to prisons because, men in prison, women are great in prison, Carl. I killed them. He deserved it. If I get the chance to do it again, I will do it again. Men, oh man, it's not my fault, man. I came from a dysfunctional family. She
Women
goes, "Hey,
accept
my mom is a
responsibility,
breastfed. You
huh?
threw me under a goat. How about that?" But that's how it started, and that's how I'm still doing comedy full time since.
Oh man, I honestly I love that. I love this story. It's just phenomenal to me. And you're right, it's healing. I sometimes I get so busy and just caught up with life that I just forget to take time to enjoy life. My wife can attest to that. And just laugh. And then I mean I love laughing, and I just don't do it enough. So I need to. There was a period where I started watching comedy just to be able to laugh, but you know what? We only have a couple minutes in this block, and if you'll stay with me for one more block,
Sure, of
I'd
course.
appreciate it. We're speaking to the comedian Nazareth. I was telling you when we were offline, Christian comedy used to kind of fall flat with me. It didn't seem like it was that great, but now I feel like there's an emergence of Christian comedians that are just good, clean, fun, but actually funny. And scrolling through your IG account at comedian Nazareth, it was kind of it was the same thing. So it was nice to see. And I hate to say that, but I think it's a true statement. I feel like Christian entertainment is getting better in general. Christian comedy is getting better in general.
It is. It is. And in fact, you know what? When I started Christian comedy, there was no money into it. But when the market opened up, and some comedians who are Christian, love the Lord, felt, "Hey, I can get into that and do this full time." So I praise God to show people that. Actually, you are good blessing to me because today before the show, I got an email from Dry Bar Comedy, which is owned by Angel Studio, and they had
Mm.
thousands of comedians, and they said you just won Best Comedy of the Year, and we want
Really?
you. Yeah, and they're doing the awards in a couple of days. They want me to do a video, but to me, it's like that number of people that now doing clean comedy, which when I started doing it, there was nobody. I was like, oh, clean comedy that honors God. Some of that in the honors God. Some of them are believers, but it's really good to see people demanding that clean comedy now.
Man, I love that. I love that. Okay, we're gonna go one more segment with comedian Nazareth. Again, find him comedian NazarethUSA.com. Comedian NazarethUSA.com. More on the other side.
NazarethUSA.com only.
NazarethUSA.com. Okay, we'll be back on the other side. Okay. All right, let's play it coming back in. It's just okay. Okay.
Oh,
So I want to
no,
make sure I
great,
get
Dave.
so it's just
Better than
Nazareth.
Tony. Don't tell Tony.
So it's just NazarethUSA.com.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry
All right. I'll make sure I get that right. Okay. All right. All right. I'm ready to get back to this, Gabe, whenever you are. Let's come right back in with the clip.
My name is Nazareth. I was born in the city of Nazareth in Israel. It's a family. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It wasn't my choice, but it's a family tradition to name me after the city you're born in. I feel sorry for my brother Waikiki, my other brother Albuquerque, and my sister Buffalo. It's sad. I'm from the land of milk and honey, but I'm lactose intolerant. But I love this country. I moved here about 35 years ago. This is the greatest nation in the world, people. Yes. Because we have choice. Everywhere you go, you get your choice. I went to buy some groceries. They said, you want paper or plastic? Choice. Went to get some coffee. It said, regular or decaf? Choice. Got out to the airport, this guy with a gun. He said, you want to give me your wallet or I'll shoot you? Choice. You want to be a Republican or leave Utah? I live in California. I love California. California is a melting pot. People from everywhere. I mean, my African-American friends there, they call me dog. Hey, dog, how are you, dog? My Latino friends call me Ese. My white friends call me buddy. My Middle Eastern friends call me infidel. And my Indian friends call me every day to tell me I owe the IRS money.
All right, let's pause it there. Let's pause it there. I just wanted to give you guys a taste of his comedy. That's good stuff, man. That is good stuff. I love that.
I'm taking you on the road. You have a great laugh, Carl.
Man, I appreciate it. You know what I love too? I love that comedy can kind of break through or does break through the political correctness, brings everybody together. Everybody can laugh at each other. And that is a good thing. I feel like we're kind of missing that now. I feel like there was a point in time that there was a point in time that I remember where people got to a point where, you could laugh. I grew up in LA. So, I mean, I had so many friends, different races. It's the same. I'm in Florida now, and it's the same thing. And we can just laugh. But I feel like political correctness kind of set in, took that away. But I feel like that's making a comeback. And I even recall I call it the COVID lockdowns, where a lot of people were afraid to speak up. And I feel like kind of comedians did a huge part, as well as I would say radio people like myself, but comedians mostly, I think, did a major job in making sure that people were laughing and kind of fighting back with their comedy.
Right. Because, this whole woke thing about, comedians are the gestures of the culture. In the old days when the king, if anybody the king didn't like, he would cut their head off, except the jester, because he can joke to the king because the king will know what's going on in the culture, in his kingdom. So when a comedian goes up and shares what they feel, That's how the other people know what's going on around, instead of getting offended. Oh, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. I did a joke a while ago, which is, it has nothing political. I go, there's a story in San Francisco. They did a study and they found out that 35% of people, if a man and a dog are crossing the street and a bus comes at him, who would they save first? And
Mm.
30 more than 35% said they will save the dog first.
Wow.
And I'm going, that's why when I walk in San Francisco, I put a hat on my dog. It says, "Make America Great Again." People, no, no, people laugh. They knew what I'm saying. I'm not political. I'm not saying I'm promoting anybody, but what I'm saying is sometimes that's what
That's a
happens.
safe bet in San Francisco. That's a safe bet there.
But
That's for sure. I love it. I love it. Listen, I mean, and I'm a conservative. It's funny. It's funny. People should be able to laugh. You should be able to go out and laugh at each other. And frankly, I look at some of these, even these late night quote unquote comedians, and I'm like, dude, you're getting paid a buttload of money. Make people laugh. That's the
yeah,
best ministry you have. You don't have to. You don't have to take sides. You can brag on everybody and just make people laugh. Just be
exactly.
funny. There's so much healing in it. I love it, man. I hate. I got to tell you, man. I'm convicted because I simply don't laugh enough. So just having you on is convicting. I'm like, man, I'm gonna flip you on.
You need to car. And I'll tell you what, because of my comedy, most of the time what I get to do is like my goal, I want to unite America. If you're
Yeah,
an American, you're my brother. I don't care what your belief system in different things. At the end of the day, we're in one nation. We love,
right.
and I try to make people laugh, because at the end of the show, I personally believe the way we can fix our nation is people turn their hearts to Christ.
Yeah,
So when I'm
yeah,
giving the opportunity, if I'm not doing a corporation, I do corporations, I do different events. But if I'm giving the opportunity, I'm able to share what God has done in my life, what the Lord Jesus did in my life. And I give that opportunity to people and say, hey, if you really turn your heart to Christ, it's really will really will change a lot for people. And I think our problem, racism, if you go down to it, basically it's about a sin issue. All the fighting, if you're, you know, very liberal or neoconservative. It's a sin issue that we have to come together and know that, hey, we can laugh at this. We can laugh.
yeah,
We're adults. We can laugh at stuff like that.
yeah.
But I don't do anything political in my show. I don't.
And honestly, I think that's cool and that's fun with that. But frankly, if you jabbed at anybody on either side of the aisle and it's funny, guess what? I'm gonna laugh.
It's
I
funny,
mean,
right?
it's as long as it's not, you're not trying to cut people down per se. It's just people need to laugh. I got to ask you this: did someone? I know you said you enjoyed making people laugh growing up, so you kind of felt that, but did family members or anybody ever turn to you and were they like, dude, you're so funny? Did you hear it from other people before you figured it out yourself?
I used to have a little bit of that. I mean, my mom was always very strict and very Middle Eastern mom, but I used to make her laugh. I fought bullying in Kuwait because I was a Christian guy. Going to a school that predominantly Muslims, and I'm going to place that I'm a second class citizen because I wasn't a native Kuwaiti. I mean, I use comedy and humor to help me just navigate my
Makes
way
sense.
through it. But people were laughing, and I was like, I never thought you can make a living. I didn't know. And back then in Kuwait, you didn't know there was stand-up comedy. But when I moved here and I started watching, and you know I'm like, hey, I can do this. And
Man,
that's when
that's
I
cool.
started.
That's honestly, it's a tribute to. I mean, obviously the American dream. I mean, you've fulfilled it. You've come here as an immigrant, a legal immigrant. You chased after your dream. You're fulfilling your dream, making people laugh. I mean, that's just got to feel absolutely amazing because people can have a bad day. People can have a bad week. They go to a show like yours, and it just resets the mood, resets their tone, puts them in a better mood. I mean, that has got to be one of the coolest feelings in the world.
It is, and the last, as I said, on Friday, I got two texts. I was able to put them on Instagram, and I asked for from the people who wrote it because I said this is my paycheck for tonight. It was a text from a dad who said I just lost my kid, and I didn't think I could laugh again, but you made me laugh. And then the bonus check with another lady who said I just lost my husband and my son, and I didn't know how I can laugh again, and you did. And that's my goal. I want you people to come my show. I want you to laugh, enjoy yourself, have a great time. I don't want you to think, oh, I don't like this. Especially when people do dirty material. Because comedy, it causes endorphins to kick in your body and makes you feel better and feel good. But if someone is saying something against your what you believe, kind of, there's something inside of you that doesn't laugh as much, doesn't relax, doesn't lower your guard enough. And that's what I try to avoid. I want people to lower their guard, and hopefully at the end, if they get to be encouraged knowing that Christ who changed my life is available to them, I would do that. If it's a corporate event, I just do my comedy, straight straight clean comedy for them.
I love it. And again, the website is NazarethUSA.com. 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 Make sure you also follow him online. You can follow him on Instagram, Comedian Nazareth. But I'm assuming everything you've got everything kind of encompassed at NazarethUSA.com. So I would encourage people to go there. Does that work?
Yes. Yeah, that works. They can go to our website. They can find everything about me, and you can watch a lot of videos. Or they can, if they want to go to social media, which already on my website, they can click there. But at Comedian Nazareth, they can find it on YouTube at Comedian Nazareth. They'll find all of it.
Let me ask you one more question. We got about
Sure.
30 seconds here. But
Yes.
is there something or is something that you've been able to achieve as a comedian where you're like, wow, I never thought this would have happened to me? Maybe it's somebody you met. I mean, you mentioned Muhammad Ali. Maybe it's somebody you met, something God, we're just, wow, this is amazing. This was impossible.
I was doing a death row prison, and at the end of my show, a gentleman from prison, he goes, I'm sentenced to be executed next week," and I'm just wanna, I said when I heard you, I said I feel I need Jesus, and I
Mm.
prayed with him, and that, to me that was a highlight for me.
Oh, man. Amazing. Amazing. NazarethUSA.com. NazarethUSA.com. NazarethUSA.com.
Thank you, Carl.
Yes, sir. Great stuff, man.
Awesome.
Great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think
So
Gabe
you were
deserved a dollar more raise. That was
you
good.
you were making me laugh, and then the last 30 seconds, you almost brought me to tears. So now I got to straighten up before I go into my
Oh man.
political contact.
God bless
Uh,
you, man. Thank
hey,
you,
man.
Carl. I'm gonna listen to you now. I'm gonna start listening to your program.
Oh, man. God bless you. I appreciate it,
God
man.
bless you, brother.
All
Thank you
right.
so
I look
much.
forward to speaking with you again, man.
You got
Good.
it. Thank you, my
All
friend.
right. Take care.
Thank you, Gabe.
All right, that was that was good stuff and unexpected. Honestly, just a little bit of a change. I want to just play a couple videos for you. Just give me a sec, Gabe, to find them. I want to make sure that I have the right numbers here because I want to go right into a quick another podcast. This will be relatively short. I do want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. The Carl Jackson Show. Actually, like, share, and subscribe. We really want to build up YouTube. So if you would subscribe there, that would really be a blessing to us. We would so appreciate that. Also, we have the store available, carljacksonstore.com, carljacksonstore.com. And of course, you know that you can follow me on social media, or if you don't, please follow me on social media at Carl Jackson Show. At the Carl Jackson Show is where you can go to find me. Let's do this, Gabe. Let's get started, and let's come in right with cut number 8. I just want to remind people of Jimmy Kimmel. I want to talk about the media just a little bit about obviously the third assassination attempt, but I want to talk about the media because I do believe that the media are complicit, and so I just want to go into this a little further, if you will, and I hope you guys will stay tuned for that. I just want to make some important points because I think that what the media is doing is we're losing decency, and I believe That's a result of the media. So let's start with cut number 8. Let's get it started. Okay, good. Okay, let's do that. Cut number 8, and then maybe we can go to 53. Okay.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Okay, so that was Jimmy Kimmel. That was actually a couple of days before the latest assassination attempt on the president's life. And obviously, there's so much news still coming out as far as that's concerned. And so that was Jimmy Kimmel. Honestly, Jimmy Kimmel, listen, free speech. The guy's entitled to say virtually whatever he wants to say, but should he? And frankly, I question after you had 2 assassination attempts on a president's life, I have to wonder about the motivation behind jokes like this. And again, I'm a free speech guy, but I believe even with freedom, there comes some responsibility. And what we're witnessing with Jimmy Kimmel, what we're witnessing with Nora O'Donnell, I think is the death of decency when it comes to media. So here's how Jimmy Kimmel, because he got a lot of backlash, he doubled down. He doubled down. I was going to say he tried to clean that up, but he didn't try to clean it up. He basically doubled down. So let's play cut number 53. Here's what he had to say: gaslighting, trying to gaslight you, gaslight me, gaslight his audience. Cut number 53, please, Gabe.
So on Thursday, 3 days before the event, in order to keep that cherished tradition alive, I did my own version of the Correspondents' Dinner on my show. I put on a tuxedo. We pretended we had an audience of luminaries. We used old footage of the Trumps, of Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Kid Rock, Vanilla Ice, all the members of his cabinet. And we made it seem like they were all together in a room. We had a little roast. Again, this was Thursday, and there was no big reaction to it until this morning when I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm. And a call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously was a joke about their age difference and the look of joy we see on her face every time they're together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not, by any stretch of the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I've been very vocal for many years speaking out against gun violence in particular, but I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I do, and I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it, because, by the way, I also should point out, Donald Trump is allowed to say whatever he wants to say, as are you, and as am I, as are all of us, because under the First Amendment, we have, as Americans, a right to free speech. But with that said, I am sorry that you and the president and everyone in that room on Saturday went through that.
Okay, no, he's not sorry, because he straight up lied about it like he always does. See, his audience, I mean, they're gullible, but you're not. And so we all know that Jimmy Kimmel does not believe that. He was not talking about President Trump's age and Melania Trump's age when it came to the joke that he made. I mean, that's complete and utter nonsense. And if you believe that, I'm sorry, that's just you're naive. Obviously, he was talking about assassination, and frankly, it's not funny. It's sad to me that you saw the comedian that we just had on NazarethUSA.com, comedian Nazareth, and this guy just makes everybody laugh. And it's good, clean fun. You heard the joke that he did actually, just talking about all these different races or ethnic groups. You know how they greet him in California, and man, and it's funny. It's funny because it's true, but it breaks the ice. It lets everybody know, man, we can laugh. We're different, but we're the same in that we're Americans and we can laugh. And that's just a cool thing. But what Jimmy Kimmel has done, what Nora O'Donnell it did with President Trump over the weekend, with the interview with her, and in talking through and reading through the manifesto with President Trump in order to try to get him to react. It's just sickening to me. We have the death of decency when it comes to media, and it isn't going to get any better because these people are leftist first. They're not comedians. Jimmy Kimmel isn't a comedian first. He's a leftist first. Nora O'Donnell isn't a journalist first. She's a leftist first. Some of the political leaders are not political leaders per se. They're leftist first. And the left will try to tell you that the political violence is happening on both sides. The rhetoric is happening on both sides. No, the rhetoric isn't. I know President Trump says some things that gets people offended, but he doesn't call people Nazis. He doesn't call people terrorists and so on, etc. That's simply not true. Let's go to cut number 25. This is a very important cut. This is Caroline Levitt calling Democrats out by name. And I just think this is something that you have to do. Elected leaders have a responsibility to be more responsible. Now, I know, oh, Carl, well, you can't talk. Look at President Trump. Okay, President Trump is the president. He's been elected a couple of times. We know what to expect from President Trump. I'm not going to make excuses for some of the things that he says where I'm like, please, can you just stick a fork in it? I completely get it. But let's not pretend like he's saying stuff that's going to get people shot and killed. And I believe Democrats are, and I believe they're intentionally doing so. I think they want to see people on the right get hurt. And I'm not being hyperbolic in saying that. I genuinely believe they don't mind it. I mean, we witnessed the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and literally within hours, you had people saying, "Oh, this is bad. I reject gun violence," and that's a gun violence. No. It's not gun violence, Jimmy Kimmel. It's not gun violence for those of you on the left. It's left wing violence. I mean, overwhelmingly over the last decade, the assassination attempts have been overwhelmingly, almost exclusively people on the left. And I gave you a list. Guy Benson laid them out. Other people have laid them out in the past, but it's insane. But here's Caroline Levitt. Let's roll this. Cut number 25, please. Caroline Levitt.
It's not just the media. It is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy, that he is a fascist, and that they compare him to Hitler. I mean, these are despicable statements that the American people have been consuming for years. And so many mentally perturbed individuals are led to believe these words are truth and then are inspired to act on it. I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages and pages of major Democrat Party elected officials saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries just this month said, "We are in an era of maximum warfare everywhere all the time." Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. You have Rep. Presley saying, "We'll see you in the streets." Rep. Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, "We will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war." These are Democrat elected officials calling for war against the President of the United States and his supporters. I could go on, but again, when you have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally ill. And that's what we've seen against this president for far too long.
All right, and we know that's true. And frankly, it's not just people that are mentally ill. It's people who the left are intentionally, in my opinion, waging psychological warfare on because they want them to do stupid stuff. Look at the Southern Poverty Law Center. I mean, just consider that. That should be one of the biggest stories of 2026. I suspect beyond, I mean, obviously Iran and midterm, so on, etc., the assassination attempt, it will, and it should be one of the biggest stories of 2026 by the end of the year. But just think about this. The Southern Poverty Law Center that claims to fight hate. They're an anti-hate group. They named Charlie Kirk was a hater, Family Research Council, Focus on the Family, all these right organizations, all these conservative organizations were considered, hate groups according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. So you get some of these people on the left that are being radicalized both online and by people or organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center that buy into this nonsense, and they want to take things out on conservatives and they want to take things out on Republicans. So I don't believe this is going to stop, because these people simply don't care. They are absolutely morally bankrupt. So there's a lot of people out there wondering, how can we tone down the rhetoric? There's only a couple ways to do it. Dr. Curry Myers mentioned it last night in his podcast with us. You've got to arrest criminals when they make threats or do bad things. And also, you got to hold politicians accountable. It's as simple as that. We need to defeat the left at the ballot box. Democrats need to fight back and make sure that they're not taken over by radical leftists. And at this point, they are. They simply are. It's insane. All right, we're going to go one more segment. You're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. You guys stay tuned. All right, Gabe, let me make a quick text. Let's turn this thing right around. I actually have a meeting at 8, but let me let Okay, let's go ahead and count this down. Yep. Okay, welcome back to the program. Let's go to a couple more clips that I want to show you. Let's go to cut number 17. This is Norah O'Donnell. And I'm making a case that the left, the Democrat Party right now, they're a threat to decency. They're a threat to decency. You can say all you want about President Trump. That's fine. And it's fine. It doesn't give the left the right to start literally advocating, it seems to me, for violence, or at least painting the president in a light. And you know how he is. Good, whether for good or bad. I mean, if you're going to call the guy a Nazi, a rapist, and so on, etc., people are going to react to that. I don't want to see Jimmy Kimmel. I want to see Jimmy Kimmel off air. I don't want to see him taken off air because Melania Trump wants it. I want to see him taken off air because he's a horrible talent. He's a horrible talent. I mean, and frankly, I think he would have been taken off air if conservatives didn't step in last year. So just let the market take care of it. That's what I would say. But let's be real. These people are a threat to decency, and it's important. They're not making people laugh. You turn on late night comedy, they're on public airwaves. That's why the FCC wanted to get involved. They're on public airwaves, and he's basically doing a political show against President Trump. But we all get to pay taxes for it. Or we get to pay taxes for it. Local entities have to succumb to what the big, the big networks do, so on, et cetera, kind of follow their lead. They're not necessarily independent like they used to be. So the FCC has a role to play. Here's Norah O'Donnell. This is her questioning President Trump about the would-be assassin, the third would-be assassin. And obviously, she tried to take a jab. She's so bougie. Journalists should not be. Just look at their demeanor. Jimmy Kimmel, Jake Tapper, Norah O'Donnell, cut number 17, please, Gabe. Look how bougie she is. This shouldn't be a journalist. This is somebody that thinks I'm better than you. Cut 17, please.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, you know, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, you know, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
You're disgraceful.
All right, and he's right, because and you know, other people have made this point, and I got to admit, at some point I kind of forgot, but it's true. I think we've gotten so used to having media information almost instantaneously and at the tip of our fingers with social media, these social media platforms, so on, etc. But journalists would not read manifestos back in the day. Oftentimes, a lot of these news outlets wouldn't even mention the names, or at least not ongoing, of some of the mass killers, mass shooters, so on, etc., because they didn't want to incentivize other people. But Nora, oh, you think he's talking about? Of course, she knew. She had just stated, this is what he said about you. Oh, this is. They just lie. Jimmy Kimmel lied. Norah O'Donnell lied. This is the death of decency. That's what this is. These people are not decent people. That's why he was right to say you're a disgrace. She was hoping to get a rise. She was hoping he would completely flip out. And I heard Hugh Hewitt say this, and it's such a good point. I didn't watch the interview in its entirety, but based on that, I can tell she wasn't ready for it. Apparently, Trump went other places like Iran, because the guy will talk about his different policies, different political accomplishments, or things that he's working on. And then you have to kind of know the stories and go with the flow. But she was so busy trying to play gotcha with the manifesto that she couldn't even have an intelligent conversation or wrap up the interview with questions. She had run out of questions. She had run out of fodder, because they are not decent people. And so this isn't going to get any better. And so I implore you guys, make sure that you go out and vote. Here's was this the one I want from Jamie Raskin? Let's play cut number 22. We may have played this, I don't recall, but let's play it again. If so, this is Representative Jamie Raskin acting clueless when asked whether or not his party should tone down the noise. Cut 22, please, Gabe.
Yeah, and you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talking about some of the fact that he, you know, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your democratic right, but overall,
yeah,
do you
I have
a
no
responsibility?
personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where 2 of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and others have, you know, died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment. We need the press to be a vigilant watchdog against every level.
Okay, you can cut the tape, or you can cut the tape. Yes, we need the press to be a watchdog, an honest watchdog is what we need. And unfortunately, they're not. And Jamie Raskin knows that. He knows better. I mean, this is absolutely sickening. These people are complete fakes, frauds, and phonies. Here's S.E. Cupp. This is cut number 24. Cut number 24, please, Gabe.
Easy for him to attend. And glad to see everyone's in great spirits and this is a party. I'm real bummed about tonight. Because here's what's happening tonight. Journalism is throwing a party. Journalism is celebrating journalism at this party. Journalism, for some reason, invited Brendan Carr, FCC chair, who is threatening to revoke the licenses of broadcast networks, Pete Hegseth, who removed journalists from the Pentagon, and Donald Trump, who attacks us on the regular. Now, they're giving Donald Trump a speaking position to roast us to our faces for an hour. And he doesn't have to stay for the part where we celebrate journalism and give out awards to journalists and talk about the importance of free speech. And here's the kicker, we broadcast it on national TV. He could not have planned this scenario better. And guess what? He didn't. We did. Journalism planned this scenario for Donald Trump. So if I'm Donald Trump, of course I come under these conditions. And you just heard Brian Stelter say that the Correspondents Association was trying to sort of mend some fences with a guy who wants us dead, figuratively.
Okay.
Figuratively,
All right,
he wants journalism.
Okay, so guy that wants us dead. By the way, S.E. Cupp used to be a conservative. I mean, a straight up conservative, a little libertarian bent, but used to be a conservative. And then going back to Raskin, I don't personalize things against Trump. And then he calls him an authoritarian right off the bat. And then when she mentions the FCC, what she fails to mention is what Brandon Carr is trying to regulate are these big network television conglomerates that are literally one-sided, If you're going to be on public airwaves, guess what? There's got to be fairness on public airwaves. She conveniently forgot to mention that. So that was the issue with Brandon Carr and the FCC. It wasn't about censorship. It was about fairness, a word that the left likes to use. And again, you have Jamie Raskin, authoritarian. I don't go after him personally, but his authoritarian administration. Well, if she says that Trump wants us dead and their listeners, their viewers are hearing that, watching that, and he says Trump is an authoritarian, they murdered Alex Preddy or shot Alex Preddy and Renee Good simply for peacefully protesting, when that's a lie. They were interrupting not ICE, the Custom and Border Patrol. So they lie about that too. These people were not innocent. You know what? These people could be alive today. Alex Preddy should have never kicked that vehicle with the CBP officers inside. That happened a day before. Alex Preddy should never have resisted arrest. I frankly don't care that he had a gun. He's allowed to carry a gun there. I would say it's probably not smart to carry a gun when you know that you're an activist and an active activist protesting. Renee Good was blocking traffic, interfering in law enforcement operations. And it wasn't just for a few seconds. She was doing that all day long. And then regardless of how you may feel, when you speed your car and the officer is in front of you, it's either his life or theirs. He's going to choose his life every single time. So what we're witnessing with the left-wing media is the death of decency. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.